Everyone knows about VEO3, the model from Google. Everyone's been playing with it. And then there has been this, I might share my entire screen for this one. There was this sort of trend of kicking off of like basically how you can better optimize the outcomes and the video generation within VEO3. So what I wanted to do was show off a couple of, like a bit of the research that I did on this. And play with it a little bit and show you some of the outcomes, because it actually is, it's an exceptional way to get better video outputs from these video models. And it doesn't just apply to VEO3, I found. Like, so you can actually do this with a bunch of other things, like a bunch of other video models. So you know how we were talking about, I don't know anyone who uses Grok when Grok 4 came out?
Yep.
So this is a case study where Grok excels over everyone else. So I was trying to do some research on this, and Grok just absolutely nailed it. And I think one of the reasons for that is because all of the discussion was going on X, and people were sharing examples. So it was able to get me some really, really good examples and really, really good documentation on something that was very new. So I found that excellent. If you're interested, we'll add all this stuff to the vault. So what I actually did was I wanted to go through and create a couple of examples of this. So obviously JSON is a simple kind of representation of the different component parts of the video that you might want to generate. The reason why it's effective is because it delineates, and it's super simple and really in practice, is basically just delineates the components of the video that's being generated into the distinct components of cinematography, components of directed action, characters, etc. Actually, I think it's probably just a much better way for a human to think about what they want the video to be generated, So it's not just like a stream of consciousness, big block of text. But also when I was playing with it, it made me realize just how limited and how much of a wrapper some of these kind of video production tools actually really are. So it's sort of like pulling back the curtain on a bunch of these creative tools. They're really just JSON optimization products. And I'll show you an example that I vibe coded when I was going through this. So basically, the structure of these prompts is laid out here. And what I wanted to do was I went through and I basically just found all of the different examples that people on X were playing with, and all of the different potential variables that could be injected into a JSON prompt to generate a video. So we'll put this in the vault, which is our kind of resource center on the website. But you can see there's the basic stuff like the prompt and the negative prompt, all of those different components. Some of this is for different APIs, and I put all of these comments in there. But then you've got things like aspect ratio, resolution, different style, the motion strength and the style strength that you can dial up and down. And then things like the camera. So you've got the shot, the motion, the shot type, so tracking wide, the motion of the camera. You can define the angle of the camera, then lens type, frame rate, film grain, color grading. All of those variables can be injected, and all these people on X were basically finding examples or testing these things out. Then you can also define specifics around the environment, the location, and all of these things. All they do is just basically expand the universe of potential components of the actual videos, rather than like you just defining like one or two sentences. That's all it really is. But it works exceptionally well, way better than anything else that I've generated.
These are essentially configuration parameters and metadata. So rather than writing out a long block of text, you're providing the model exactly what it knows, or like the information that it tries to configure itself in the background, right? But you're basically just being very explicit, saying,
yeah, you're exactly right. It's literally just being explicit. That's all. So that's sort of what I was saying at the start, is like it's almost like this is people just realizing that it's a better input method into the LLM from the human. Like we were basically putting in prompts that didn't cover everything, and then we were wondering why the output was kind of crappy.
Yep.
So I'll show you all like the research background here. You can, we'll share that with everyone and you can go through it. But the examples is where I was really kind of like getting into it. So this is also with Grok, which is really cool. And then I just pushed each one through replicate. And then on VEO3 actually released, or VEO actually released this VEO3 fast model, which is way cheaper. It's way cheaper than VEO3. And in my testing, just as good. Like, it's cheaper and it's faster. So 40 cents per second of video output, and you can play with it here. And all I was doing was just taking this JSON prompt example. So a high-speed car chase. This is this example, and here's the JSON. So it's like, here's the prompt. The configuration is 8 seconds. That's, if we worry about that. A high-speed car chase through a busy street, and then it defines the camera shot. But it also defines multiple nested camera shots, right, as it goes through the scene. So there's scene transitions that you can define through this, which is also really cool. The environment, the different characters, and then, this is the outcome, which is really cool. It's like,
Yeah, I haven't tried it myself, but the results that I've seen are, it clearly works. I'm curious. Google, Gemini can watch videos, and maybe some other models. I have a hard time sometimes remembering which one can do. Is that right? I've
Gemini can, yeah. I haven't played with it
so
myself, but apparently it can.
yeah, and I've done it, but and I think OpenAI, at least one of their models can as well. I could be wrong on that, but my point is, just like a lot of other things, I guess it's kind of like meta prompting. I wonder how well it would work if you fed a video and then said generate the JSON for this video, and then you have a pretty well defined, like you don't even have to think about the JSON structure. Then you can repurpose that. Like, would that work, do you think?
Yeah, it probably would. Yeah, it probably would. Like the prompts I did for these was basically like, after I did all the research on Grok, I was like, well, here are all the predefined things. Now generate me 5 JSON prompts that really push the limits of this approach, because I wanted to see like how high quality it would be. But you could just feed in, a snippet of a Tarantino film, and then say, generate a JSON prompt for a video generation model that follows the patterns of this filmmaking style, for example. You could try that. This is the coolest one, actually. So this one was like a medieval battle scene. And I've seen quite a few of these that came out that are like, they're kind of cutesy, right? They're not, I couldn't see the video that's generated in an actual TV show that I would want to watch, right? This is the first time where I put this one through, and all it is the prompt is a fierce battle between 2 medieval armies on a muddy field. And then it has these camera shots defined, so a wide shot, a medium shot, and a close-up. High angle view of the entire battlefield, tracking shot following knights charging, and then an eye level of a soldier's face. Then the characters are defined too. And it's excellent. Like really, really excellent. And it also comes with all the audio and stuff as well. Like, it's just great. Like, like in the background, there's like a bunch of stuff you'd probably have to get in post, like editing, like, the arrows don't make any sense and stuff. But the fact that it did the transitions, that does the characters, does the audio, like, that was really impressive. When I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, this is one, a better way to work with these tools. But number 2, it's also like just way, way better results. Like, it's a better way for you to organize your creative thoughts, and it's a better way for the models to translate those creative thoughts into better outcomes. This is an example of
Yeah,
like a
absolutely.
surrealistic, like this one's
And I
just
think
like
it would,
surreal, crazy, like things, visual details. Like, while I'll play it while you're talking.
I think it's probably significant for long form because if you think about like a traditional storyboard, um, and not that I'm like a filmmaker and I know all the details of what a real storyboard looks like, but I'm sure that it encapsulates most of these things that you're defining like in JSON, right? So
Yeah.
um, it
And
seems
then
like to me this would make things like I've said how I have an issue with generating images and videos because maybe it's my prompting and it's like I have to do 100 iterations before I can get what I'm looking for. But this would allow you to be so much more precise in your iterations.
well, that's a great transition. So like you can see it does make errors. This is an interrogation scene, like close-ups with audio. Look at their eyes. Their eyes are doing weird stuff.
I don't remember.
That's pretty funny. But I did a live test on this, but I did it with a vibe coded tool. So this is the outcome of I basically just said two white men walking through a busy Chinese market. They're undercover detectives stalking a suspect who is unaware that they were looking for him. Cutscenes show different angles of the scene, basically. But so this is the output of that.
You see him? Yeah, he's near the fruit stand.
Not perfect, but it's pretty good. What I actually put it through was this. So I just went into V0 and made a couple of like usable kind of tools that help you build these JSON kind of the JSON configuration on the right hand side. So if I zoom out a bit, you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is the JSON like kind of output on the right hand side that follows the all of the kind of protocol and things that are working that I found on X. And on the right hand side, there's just like variations of elements that update the JSON in real time. So you can put your kind of prompt in here. So if I just copy this prompt, and I made two versions of this. This is just there's a more complicated one and there's a simpler one. So that will just update the prompt here. And then I'll just make it like 8 seconds. And then the camera angle, like say a dolly in at like a high angle, for example. And then this is what I was saying, sort of like now I realize a lot of these AI kind of content generation tools are really just JSON configuration wrappers with stitching. So I think it'll be a lot of fun to build one of them. And then you can just come and say, all right, here's the lighting. You can take a AI recommendation that's literally just hooked up into OpenAI. Might make it at sunrise. And the style is cinematic. The subject, yeah, you can update those. Interestingly, like this isn't hooked up correctly. So if I say AI inspired, sometimes it will contradict what's in the primary prompt. So I have to like make it self-referential. So like, for example, I had like, this is like two white men walk through a busy Chinese market. And then I was playing with this and it turned them into like lions going across the savannah. So that didn't really work. And then you can configure the audio components and it will update the audio components of your audio of your JSON prompt. And then you can just copy that here and then chuck it into, in this case, I'm just using replicate, but this is the playground, but you can, you could just build this in via an API and then just run it.
Yeah.
While that's
Dude,
going,
that's
I'll show
awesome.
you that's the more complicated version. The simpler version is here, which I kind of think is a bit better, which is like 3-step. And we can add this as one of the tools in the, we can add this as one of the tools in the Vault, so you can play with it. And there's heaps of these. Like you could probably just do this with a custom GPT or something, but I kind of felt like it was nicer to put it into a little landing page. But yeah, so this is my prompt, and then like I basically chuck that in. That goes off to an OpenAI API call and converts it into components on the following page to do the export. So you've got more fine-grained control, and you're like, all right, well, this is my total high-level scene. This breaks it up into all of the components of the individual JSON file. So like I can then go and enhance my environment component in isolation to the primary subject, the activity, those sorts of things, and then I can edit it manually if I want. Yeah, and this is just vibe coded up. So yeah, really cool. And then it also does all of the breakout for you. So it enhances it without you having to do the work. So it does the technical specs, resolution, 4K, frame rate, all of that sort of stuff. You don't have to really worry about it. And then expands all of the audio descriptions to make it all better. And then you can just get the final JSON. It also puts like the negative prompts in there as well. So I think the copy and paste thing in here was broken, but if I just manually copy it, oops, I'll just manually copy it for now. And then come over here. Here's that version that was generated. And here's this version. Let's see what that looks like. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's really fun.
Dude, that's amazing. I'm stoked to use this actually. My only problem is that you still haven't called your friends at Replicate, so I can actually use Replicate.
Well,
I have a
I'll put a
warning
call
that
in. I'll
says
put a call
you
in.
have to pay your bill, and I've paid it. I've changed multiple cards, and I'm still locked out of Replicate. So if there's anyone out there at Replicate, hit me up because I'd love to be able to use your products.
Oh, that's funny. That's very funny. Oh yeah,
No, seriously, Tom,
I'll
that's
put a good word
amazing.
in. Well, what
And
I
I
was
could
gonna
even see that
do
as a
is
tool
actually. Oh, sorry, you go.
know that agents, you give agents access to this. I'm sure it would be super helpful even to agents. And maybe they can do that natively, but might help define things a little bit better and give you more visibility into what's going on to collaborate.
Well, I think what it does do, so here are all those generations. What I was actually going to do is use this technique and go back through all of because these are all my replicate generations here, but you can see the little videos from our AI intro in here that were generated. I want to go back through and regenerate a bunch of those with this technique.